super excited about. And make everything what we're doing possible. So I want to give that update. A lot of that has to do with the instability that's been going on in social media, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit today.
Hello, this is Joyce, live streaming on Fanbase Audio Room. Tuesday Investor Town Hall. Now playing. Hope you enjoy.
uh, Social media platforms, newer platforms, are going to be more valuable just because, or necessary because of the current construct of the way that things are right now with what's going on in our country. And so I think the ability for us to have community, share information, be parts of all of these amazing things that we have going on, and be able to talk to one another and work through these times is extremely important. So I welcome, that sentiment for everybody that's joining us today. And so that's the importance. I never really, I knew that every platform had a lifespan. I knew that these platforms were not going to be around forever, but it seems like the decay of these platforms is progressing pretty heavily and pretty rapidly just based on some of the decisions that they've been making. And what that does is it presents an opportunity for us to carve out our own space as a company. And those of you that want to be a part of joining that and building community in a place that's new and emerging, and then having equity in that opportunity as well. So I don't think anybody sees anything different than what I see, but I want to make sure that you know that's important. Um, I want to talk about briefly, like, how we got here and why we're here and what was the importance of building something like Fanbase. And so the ultimate goal of very many tech companies is disruption. If you're not disrupting, if you're not pissing people off, you're doing something wrong. And I definitely wanted disruption to be a part of what we're doing. I think we are disrupting because of the way that the market shifts, which is really important. And what I saw is a space where advertising has just been so much the concern or the focal point of what these legacy platforms do. It's not fun anymore. They're taking the fun out of it. They're limiting reach. They're suppressing voices. They're not letting everybody have access to that. And it's harder and harder to monetize. So many hoops to jump through, so many barriers, so many benchmarks to reach just to make money off content that now more than ever people are spending an enormous amount of time um, you know, putting effort and energy into. And so monetization was always at the forefront of what we were going to build at Fanbase as a company. That's first and foremost, is just monetization. But we had a goal of also recognizing that youth culture and Black culture also are the pulse of what really makes these platforms thrive. I don't think anybody sees anything different than what I see, and I think that's important as well, that we understand that. And so there was an inequity that existed on other platforms where creators were not getting the fair share or the attention or the energy that were given to other creators based off some of the creations that were originally created by particular creators. And so I found that to be challenging as well. Like, we need to build something. So I set out on this journey. We've come a long way. It's a self-funded platform. I think this is one of the most important stories in tech and in social media. Um, but I wanted to let that be known. So as I start this process, I want to. The we usually save the our brand promise for the end of the audio room, but I wanted to share this brand promise with you guys to let you see through Watch Party real quick about really what fan base is about. So let me post this up here. I'm going to let this play for a second, and then when I'm back, we'll step a little bit more into the conversation.
Okay, looks like they are actually playing the video. So I'm going to see if I can. Ooh, I got kicked out. Man, it's over 200 people in this room right now. So let me try again to get back in. It's busy. All right, so I'm back in the room. It's probably paying the fan base promise.
That believes in the strength of authenticity and individual choice. Regardless of success or background, we welcome you, the marginalized, the underappreciated, the successful, the superstar. We're for all who seek a space to express themselves freely, where they are rewarded for being their authentic, true self. We transcend labels because only we have the right to define ourselves. We are built for the brave, the culture, the creators, and for the future where everyone has the power to shape their own destiny, where all are empowered, voices are amplified, and freedom is embraced. For the first time, you have a chance to own the platform you helped make popular. It's a revolution, a movement in how we connect, create, and share. Everyone is a creator, and everyone has a fan base.
Everyone.
Here, you can be you without limits.
All right, Isaac should be returning here shortly. And I'm gonna get off the stage.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all like that. I see some of the positive feedback that we got from that video, and I want to make sure that we stay true to that. Um, that's extremely important. Um, I'm going to check the chat for some questions. If you do have any questions, you can throw those questions into the chat room whenever you want. We'll be able to answer those, and some of our team is in the room as well to answer those questions too. Um, Thank you for the compliments on the video. So let me start first also by saying why equity crowdfunding. So for those of you that may or may not know, when you raise capital for a startup, uh, you get that money from VCs and angel investors. And I found myself having challenges really trying to figure out how we're going to do that. So in the beginning, I ventured out on my own and spent my own money to raise the capital for fan base. I spent my own money to build the platform. That was an amazing thing because I learned a lot. It allowed me to keep equity in the platform. It allowed me to build my vision in the way that I saw and not be interrupted by, what an angel or VC might have as an idea of what they wanted fan base to be or how they wanted to build or anything like that. Um, so next, we can't continue as a company just running off my pockets. So we had to raise capital. And we were in COVID, and it was really, really tough to have conversations about raising capital in that time with ventures, with VCs and stuff like that. So we sought equity crowdfunding. And what I thought was amazing and incredible about that is, as we know, I think I said this the other day, like apps, social media platforms without community and culture is just software. And so what gives a platform life are the users. And so who better than to offer the opportunity to sit on the cap table, have equity, be investors, than the people that will lead this platform to the level of success, the early adopters, the people that come to fan base and make it um, home and start to build community. And so we've been doing this for about 4 years. It's harder than people think it is. I know sometimes Fanbase is an amazing product, and sometimes we make it look easy, but it's a challenge because we're limited in resources in the way that we really see the vision of the company. So in the first 3 rounds of equity crowdfunding, We raised a total of $10 million in those 3 rounds. And it allows us to scale, build the company. I think we went from a startup to I call what we are as a scale up now. And so now, this new round of funding, this $17 million will give us the ability to compete, because we're going up against these giants in tech and social media, companies that have raised billions of dollars. And what I really love about that and appreciate about that is the fact that um, the work that has been done by the entire team at Fanbase has created a product that rivals these companies. Um, just at first glance, when you look at Fanbase, the biggest compliment you can do is compare it to some of these legacy platforms, because we really haven't hit our stride in the way that we want to build the company. But we've done a fantastic job, and I applaud the team for that. So this Regulation A crowd fund is really going to give us the capital to do that. So the $17 million puts us on a path to do something that Ramiro and I talk about a lot, which is catch up functionality, which is, it is not our problem, right? Or it's not your problem. It's not your problem that when you download Fanbase, you are expecting functionality and features from these legacy platforms. It's not your problem. I'm the one that decided to build the platform. So there's a lot of catching up that we have to do. And some of the functionality and things that people want, we're spending time doing that. And so this raise is going to allow us to catch up to what people expect. So I know sometimes people ask, well, what functionality is about the algorithm, or what is it about longer videos or carousels or things that are very, very common on other platforms. And so that is what this money will do. On top of that, it's going to allow us to do things that we think bring people together and make things, fun on social media, which are things like Watch Party, which you saw briefly here, audio on web, advancements in AI, in ways that AI can be used in social media. And I think that, not the way that these platforms are using AI right now. There's some cool ways to use artificial intelligence and make it fun and supportive for creators. So we look to a path, a roadmap of developing fan base beyond what you see today, and to build better. Now, when that round closes, when the $17 million round closes, then we will seek to really scale and be extremely competitive at the next phase. But we're going to grow users. We tell everybody to download the app, let their friends know what's going on, tell people to invest if they can, because I want to explain how rare this opportunity is from the perspective of how these platforms are built. So when you think of platforms like OpenAI, or you think of ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, or Meta, all these platforms were funded by very, very wealthy individuals and small groups, and they're called accredited investors. So I just call accredited investors rich people that were already rich, right? But the ability for these already rich people to have access to invest in companies and startups like Google and Apple and all that kind of stuff was a law that allowed them to do that, called the accredited investor rule. So basically, it made it really, really difficult for the average individual to be able to put their capital forward and invest and have equity in a company. And that's not fair, because when you think about it for a long time, like, well, how come I can't invest in that? I think Apple might be a good company. How come I can't invest in Apple in the same way, or something like that? Or so it didn't happen. So 2012, Obama and Biden passed this law called the Jobs Act, which wiped out the accredited investor rule and gives everyone who's in this room or forwards this room to someone the ability to have equity and ownership. And so that's important, because now you sit on the cap table the same way that these angels and these VCs sat on the cap table, but you yourself have the ability to help this platform scale and grow and be a significant competitor in the marketplace as far as social media. Now, these platforms do scale to larger amounts of capital, but I want to explain what investing in fan base means. So right now, Fanbase is not a publicly traded company. So when you think of retail stocks, right, everything that happened on the market yesterday, where the value of your shares could be one price today, and then it could plummet the next day, and then it could shoot back up. That is not where Fanbase is at the moment. That is an IPO, a pre-IPO state in which we are in right now. Post IPO, a publicly traded company, that's where the shares are available for the open market. But let me put you in on something. When a company goes public like that, the real wealth has already been generated by people that sit on the cap table in these earlier rounds, which we're doing right now. So when you're investing in stocks, and I get it, there's retail investing is great. But when you're talking about the ability to sit on a company that scales from, 160 million to billions of dollars, and even companies like Meta that are worth trillions, 1.5 trillion, um, that is the sweet spot where most people want to get, the opportunity to invest. And so this isn't a retail investment. This is a limited risk as described by the SEC, a limited risk investment. And what that means is the minimums to invest in opportunities like this are not massive. $399 is, a decent amount of cash or capital to invest, but it's not minimums that you see to get in rounds where it might be 50,000, 100,000, $250,000 just to get an opportunity to invest and have equity in a company. So that's what we like about it. Now, what that does mean is there are no dividends. This is a long-term investment. That means your investment, you're betting on the life cycle of this company, right? You're betting that fan base will go from what it is today, from what you see, right? So what you touch and feel and download and engage with on this app, that over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, fan base will continue to get better and better and better. And the value of that company will increase based on the equity that I have today. So you're betting on the life cycle. That will result in four things. One of them I don't talk about. It's fine because that's just, I don't want to talk about that because that is not the affirmative vision which we have. But I'll say it is that the company goes out of business and businesses fail. But that's not our energy and that's mindset. And that's not what we do. The other three are how you get your money back. How do I make money from investing in fan base? And those are called liquidity events. And so that just means that the company does one of three things. We merge with another company, and the shareholders in that company become part of the new company and hold shares in that company, and they can either sell those shares or exit that company at that time, or we get acquired by a larger entity. So let's say some larger corporation wants to come along and spend a large amount of capital to purchase fan base at a price higher than where you invested. So the four valuations of fan base from the beginning have been 20 million, 50, 85, and now 160, which we're raising at. So we continue to scale up in valuation. And then the third is what we call going public, where you are a retail investor at this point and you have shares in a publicly traded company. Now, what people typically do in these types of scenarios is they cash out. They sell all the equity that they have on the open market for a value higher than when they invested, and that's when you typically get off. Now, I've seen people hold on to their shares and maybe the company continues to scale even higher and higher. If you're someone like Meta, where they've gone, they've continued to grow and now they're a $1.5 trillion company, you can imagine the amount of value that people that still might hold shares from that very, very seed round of Facebook all the way to now and the value that they have now. So but there's a risk on the open market because then that's when the value of your stock is dictated by shareholders and advertisers and things that are not in your control. Fluctuations in the market, things like AI, stuff like that can drive the price down and wipe out value and increase value and based on that kind of stuff. And so that's a far more volatile environment. So typically people exit at these liquidity events. And that's good because, you've seen a profit, you've seen a return on the investment that you put into the company. And I like to be clear about that um, typically the return on an investment, a good return on investment is 14%. So let me just say that. That's like, which is like if you put $1 into something, you get $1.14 back, you won. We have far exceeded that by the value that we've grown, even in these 4 valuations. Fan base is about 8x worth more than it was when we started from 20 to $160 million valuation. It's 8 times that. And so that's very, very powerful, and speaks to the quality of the product and our drive and our focus in the way that we, build and continue to scale this company. Let me check the chat for questions. Um, all right, so I see this one right here, perfect. Goodfella, um, 206. Would we have a vote in whether deciding whether to go public or not? No, you would not. Those decisions are just made particularly by the company itself and decide what they want to do. And so, no, that's not what happens. And imagine, and the reason why that's not done, and I'm telling you why that's important, is because a lot of times everybody's going to think differently. 50% of people might want to go public, the other 50% might not want to, but without the proper information or timing, you could miss an opportunity. And so the type of securities that are being offered right now in this company, are non-voting common stock shares, which is fine because you're just sitting on the cap table, you're trusting the vision of what we do, and you ride the life cycle of the company. And sometimes it can get a little complicated when you have to get approvals from thousands and thousands of people, 19,000 people. We have over 19,000 investors in fan base. And so sometimes that can get a little tricky when you got to go ask the permission of 19,000 people. That's a lot of people to ask permission for. And sometimes you need signatures and all kind of stuff to make that kind of stuff happen. So that can be a little tough, but we don't want to do that. Um, the next thing I want to talk about is the process of investing in fan base. So what does that mean to invest in fan base? Because this is probably one of the most asked questions that I see all the time and we get is, well, I haven't heard anything from fan base, or I invested, or where all those things can happen. So the first thing that I want to say is that when you invest in Fanbase, you're going to go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest, right? Um, and make sure you understand that. You create an account on a platform called Start Engine. And so Start Engine is the custodian of your shares. Think of it as your wallet, the wallet for your ownership and equity in Fanbase. That's where you go to see where your shares are. Anytime you've invested, you can go in there and see your purchases and see how much money you made. I'm sorry, not see how much money, but see how much equity you have in the company and the shares that are there. So that's extremely important when you do that at startengine.com. So StartEngine facilitates that raise. And as a facilitator of that raise, that's where your shares are held. So we regularly communicate through updates via StartEngine. So you will hear us talk about what's going on with Fanbase, the process of the raise, what's happening through investor updates on StartEngine. It's extremely important. Stay tapped in with that. Listen to those investor updates. Hang on to those. Make sure that you're always paying attention to those because it's extremely important that you do so. Hold on one second. Also, so now when that happens, you invest in Fanbase. Let's say the minimum, $399. Once you make that investment in Fanbase, that money goes into escrow. And what happens is we do what we call when the money goes into escrow, we don't have the money and you don't have the money. It sits in an intermediary state to determine whether or not the person investing is doing a legal investment. Because sometimes people try to commit fraud and do all kinds of, and this happens with all equity crowdfunding platforms. So don't think it's anything different. It doesn't matter what platform it is. They're always trying to figure out, if someone's trying to invest in the platform in a negative way or scam the platform. That takes about a couple of days. Once that happens, then you will get something called a confirmation email. Here's the important part, because a lot of times people be like, yo, I never, I think they've invested in Fanbase just by clicking invest and not following with that confirmation email. And that is an extremely important part of the process, because that is the are you sure phase. You say you want to invest in Fanbase, they want to give you the amount of time to say, make sure for certain that, yes, I want to invest in Fanbase. I'm certainly sure. Are you sure? Once that happens, that money moves into something called a disbursement queue, and it sits on the side for us to accept that capital, and you come and become an investor in the platform. Once we ask for that capital to be deposited into our account, then that is when you officially become a fan-based investor. So that process can take a couple of days up to a week or so, depending on the amount of capital that you're raising, and the volume of your investment. So I want to make that perfectly clear, because sometimes people say, well, I invested in Fanbase in, I don't know, 2024, but I haven't heard anything yet. Well, a couple of things is you got to make sure that you've confirmed your investment. You're going to get regular updates from Start Engine. And then also, as a company ourselves, we send out our own investor emails to let people know what's going on. And that's important. So that is the process of investing in Fanbase. Pretty straightforward process. We have over 19,000 investors who have invested in the company, and we're continuing to that every single day. Let me see. Let me see. I'm looking at. Yeah. Okay. So this is someone said, okay, so will we get dividends after a certain time? No, because again, that's like, we don't pay out dividends, because again, you're just sitting on the stock as a seed investor. Now, let me explain that too. There isn't an app in existence that has not done this exact same process. So meaning that people that invested in companies like Uber sat on the table, the company went public, and the value of their stock from the time they invested to the time that the company went public increased on a certain level, and that's how the individuals made their capital. So that's important. I want to make sure you guys understand that. Let's see. I'm trying to check some other questions. How do you verify? My account was open, verified, and approved, but it says I'm approved and started. And how do I verify that I'm actually in Fanbase? So you should check, Daryl. You should check your Start Engine account and go in there, and you can look at your transactions, and you should see the transactions for the amount of shares. Because I've seen accounts where people invest 3, 4, 5 times into Fanbase, and they see how much how much stock they had over the time that they've invested in the company. Now, what I want to get to, and typically Ramiro does this part of the conversation, but today, are the perks of what happens when you invest in Fanbase, because there are some perks investing in Fanbase at different levels. So the first is a $600 tier. When you invest $600 in Fanbase, you get the following, which is just early access to new features on the platform. We know who our early investors are. And especially this year, we're going to do a lot of A/B testing. We're going to do a lot of things to figure out, like I said, with new users, what things we like, what things, drive growth and retention. And so our early investors will get access to a lot of those features and functionalities before anybody. So you will be, as an investor, kind of getting a sneak peek into some of the beta functionality and features and growth of the platform at $600. Tier 2 is $1,000. You receive the early access to features. You will receive 10,000 loves. And if you don't know what love is on Fanbase, somebody will tell you. But love is basically the way we tip on the platform through digital currency. Users give love to tip on any pieces of content. In fact, people are tipping they're giving love inside of these chat rooms right now, that people are having conversations in and commenting in this audio room. But you will receive 10,000 loves to use on Fanbase and a verified profile badge. You get a blue check. And that's at the $1,000 tier. Tier 3, you will get, it's $2,500 investing. You will get early access. You'll get 15,000 loves. You will get a Fanbase t-shirt and a verified profile badge. That's tier 3. Tier 4, you will get, it's $5,000, right? You will get everything in tier 3. So the early access, you'll get the t-shirt. You will get 20,000 loves instead of 15, and you will get a gold verified badge on Fanbase, like I have on my profile. So there's only two, there's 4 ways to get a gold badge on Fanbase. There's 2 that I've only, mentioned, which are either you work for the company or you're an early investor in the platform at one of these levels. And you get 5% bonus shares. So that's adding to the amount of equity that you have in the company. That's really, really dope. And tier 5 is our top tier. So you will receive early access to features, 30,000 loves, a fan base t-shirt, a gold verified badge. And then we're going to have a private dinner for those tier 5 investors with the founder and the team and fan base here in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I have said that I'm going to cook. I would cook. I was like, well, yeah, I'll stick to it. Ramiro keeps holding me to my word about Isaac. You said you were going to cook, so you know what I'm saying. You guys might get an opportunity to see my cook something for you guys. But all that is included, and you will also get 10% bonus shares. And so rather than 5%, you'll get 10% bonus shares. Now, a question that we often get all the time is, well, Isaac, I've invested in Fanbase more than one time. So I invested, the minimum of $399. Now I'm investing another, $700. Well, we will allow perks to be stacked. So those perks will be stacked. The only things that we cannot control are the bonus shares because those go through Start Engine. But if you invested $600 and you invest another $400 and you get to tier 2, then we will take it up a notch and allow you to have the 10,000 loves and the verified profile badge and so on and so forth through all the tiers. And so those tiers are available and those perks are available to be seen on the fan base page on Start Engine. If you scroll to the very, very bottom, it'll show you the 5 tiers, and that's important that you can check on those things and see what's happening. Let's see. It's funny because I'm actually on the fan base page on Start Engine. So far, I see the question was like, so far I've invested over $2,000. If I invest 500 more, does that qualify me as the tier 3 investor? And the answer is yes. Where we answered that question, I answered that question. So that's what's funny. You get, Julian. It is tier 3, so you will get the 15,000 loves, the t-shirt, and the gold verified badge for doing so. And so stacking perks is really, really cool. And another thing too that I can say a lot of times is people that have invested in Fanbase have often made their money back. The minimum to invest in Fanbase has been about $250 and $399. If you are a user, and let me ask you, if you're an investor in Fanbase, I want to answer this question in the chat. If you're an investor in Fanbase and you've made the money back that you've invested in Fanbase by using the app, put a 1 in the chat. Because I know a lot of people invested in a platform and made money back by using the platform. So I think that's important. Now, let me see. There's a question. It says, Mr. Hayes, what if we want to invest after the investment time has run out because we own shares, we get to continue to invest? Well, no, that's not a guarantee. um, Invest in fan base through equity crowdfunding because it's just the right thing to do. I think users should have a shot at owning the platform, offering the opportunity for users to have a platform is the right thing to do, and I think that's important because hold on. Someone says my mic keeps going out. Can't hear me. What? Hold on. Make sure. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? Let me make sure, guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are we having audio technical difficulties? Okay, the audio is cutting in and out. All right, cool. I'm gonna make sure. But having the ability to have equity in a social media platform that you help make popular is the right thing to do. Shout out to the 300 plus people that are in this room right now. So that's the right thing to do, and we want to continue to do that. So now I will say this. I mean, we're getting calls from other types of investors or people that want to even help close this round that want to invest larger amounts of capital than the minimums. So I think that's really, really cool. If you are a subscriber of mine, I kind of mentioned something about a conversation that I had today, but only my subscribers saw that on my stories, that I had a really good conversation with today. But there are people inquiring about really, helping accelerate closing of this round. And what I also find interesting is that I think there are some media organizations that are interested in helping close this round, because I think we're realizing it. And I had a really good conversation with one of my friends today, and she's very, very concerned about all the changes that are happening with media, because she feels like if you don't believe a certain way or you don't follow a certain code, that your voice is going to get stifled on some of these platforms. And she's a media owner of a very, very successful platform, and she's concerned about censorship and her voice being stifled. But I would encourage anybody that knows people that have media platforms that exist on these other platforms to maybe invest in fan base, because it gives you an opportunity to continue and make sure that this platform remains neutral, right? And I definitely want people to understand that I'm not here to decide to pick politics from one side or another, right? I'm here to allow a platform to exist for everybody to express their opinion, believe what they want to believe, and share and express what they want to express. As long as it follows the community guidelines, it's all good. You can do that. We can agree to disagree on a great many things, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm worried about some of my friends that have built businesses on top of platforms like TikTok and Meta and X, that see that their content is starting to get suppressed and shadow banned because they might not believe what the current administration does. And that's scary. And it's unfortunate that we've gotten to this point. But, you know, I stand as a platform that will continue to allow people to share the truth, um, and not censor people, and make sure that people, have an opportunity to be heard. But I know that that's a concern of mine, and I think that's important. So even people have been reaching out from media platforms about helping to close this round. And like I said, even though the minimum to invest in fan base is $399, the maximum is whatever's left in the round. There is no maximum. So right now, as I look at this round, and I'm going over things, we're about 8 million left to close this round. And so if someone wants to come and put $8 million to close this round, they're more within their right to do so. I think that would be awesome, because then it changes the trajectory of how fast we're able to scale and build fan base in a way that I think gives us the ability to be far more competitive sooner than later. So I'm really, really excited about that. I think that's something that's totally awesome. But again, I love the fact that we have people that sit on the cap table of fan base, with the amount of equity that they have, because it still gives us an opportunity to grow together and build together. But again, if somebody wants to come in, take a chunk off the board, it's okay. We have to, we got to raise how we raise. So once the raise closes, the raise closes. Now they'll probably send people to a wait list, but there is no guarantee that fan base will continue to raise equity and capital through raise capital through equity crowdfunding. There's no guarantee that that will happen. So I always tell people to invest sooner than later. Also, viral moments like we've had um, in the past few weeks, when we've been able to raise huge chunks of money in short amount of time, we continue to entertain those opportunities or have conversations with that. So whenever sometimes I do pretty forward-facing interviews and have conversations, the raise continues to spike. And again, we're just getting a lot of calls from people that are very, very supportive of the idea of a new platform and a new opportunity to express yourself, and do so. So we welcome that. Let me check the chat for one more. Thank you, Thaddeus. Do I plan on going public? So I mentioned this before. I mentioned this before, do I plan on going public? So the eventuality is, all businesses, and I want to express it to investors, especially some that are in the Black community that are concerned about fan base ever being sold. Let's be candid and clear. All businesses are built to be sold in one way. So even if fan base goes public, that is still selling a portion of the company on the open market. Now, I mentioned this, and I've said this several times in interviews, the fact that we have a lot of minority investors who are really getting the opportunity to invest for the first time, that if fan base continues to grow and become a real major player in the social media space, then I will be in the position to either sell this company or take this company public and allow thousands and thousands of people to generate wealth based on investing early. And again, I've always said there's nothing, it would be nothing more cooler than to be ringing the bell at, the stock exchange, but they might have to put us in a different room, because rather than it being 12 people or 20 people on stage, it might be 2,000, it might be 19,000, it might be 22,000 people who are all investors who get to see this company go public. And that would be incredible, because that's a distribution of wealth that I don't think we've ever seen before, especially in done this way. I think it's going to serve as a marker for the way that other people scale and grow their businesses. And I'm really, really excited about that. And so I think that would be the cool part, is like Fanbase goes public and the 19 plus thousand investors are now either going to continue hold their shares, that they've cashed out, or we get acquired. And that changes the game for everybody, because these platforms, you know, make a significant amount of return for some of these angels and VCs. Now, again, I can't guarantee anything. But one thing that even though I can't guarantee anything, I will say this, that uniquely in the position of being a shareholder in fan base, you do have a way to positively affect the value of the company by joining the app, using the app, telling more people to download the app. The fact that we went up on this app store really, really high in the last few weeks, and continue to kind of go and stay in the conversation. Um, you can create that value by being a shareholder in the company, and that affects the value of your investment. So the more you talk about fan base, the more valuable the company gets. That's what I say. The more you tell people to download it and invest and use it and all of those things, um, that helps scale the company and make the company more valuable. I don't think you could do that with like a jet engine. You know what I'm saying? Investing in a jet engine that isn't available on the market or whatever. So I always say the uniqueness of social media and a product that's already available in the marketplace, because um, we had already built the platform before we raised capital, which is something that is advantageous. It gives you, the consumer and the general public, for your own eyes to actually download an app, test it, play with it, see what it's like, and assess it based off the amount of capital that we raised, and then confirm that, and then say, okay, well, Fanbase has raised, so far they've raised about $17 million in 4 rounds of equity crowdfunding, and then you might say, well, let me go look at Red Note. And Red Note is like, okay, Red Note's got more functionality and features than Fanbase, but they've been around since 2013 and they've raised $900 million and they're valued at 17 billion. And I always say that is the best compliment ever. To compare us, the best thing you can do to Fanbase is compare us to TikTok and Instagram and Red Note and Snapchat and X. It's the biggest compliment in the world, because we understand how hard we've worked to get here, and how much we put into the product, and how much we stick to our guns about making sure that we're building something that's comparable and competitive. And we know that our time will come when we will get the capital to do the things at a speed in which satisfies you and us, because we're perfectionists as well. So that's very, very important. um, so Voodoo Writer says fan base is not easy to use like IG, TikTok, and others. Um, and so I will say this. I think all apps function in their own way. I will say that most apps typically don't come with um, instructions. I still myself don't know how to use everything on TikTok. I know how to use TikTok to a level that gets me to what I need to do. I know how to use X to a level that does the things that it needs to do. So I think that the ability to use the platform, some would agree that it's not hard. Some would agree that it is hard. But what I would say is, if you have any suggestions, you're always welcome to shake your phone, shake it, and send in a suggestion or report a bug, because we are not a closed door company. We know that we don't know everything. We know that users see blind spots and understand things that are going on in the app at times that we don't know. So I tell all the time, shake your phone. I mean, we're always looking to be better, and make it worthwhile. And so I think that's perfect. I think one of the biggest challenges people, I don't know what people expect when they download fan base as far as hard to use. I would always start with um, just tapping that plus button at the very beginning. When you get on the home screen, there's 6 content formats that you can post in on Fanbase, which are posts, which are just photo and video posts, flicks, which is like our version of TikTok, which is short form video up to 2 minutes. And I think we're expanding that shortly. Um, Audio chat, which we're using right now, live streaming, which is kind of like, just the 9 by 16 vertical live with tipping and subscriptions, stories, and then Fanbase Plus, which is like a YouTube 16 by 9 style format platform. Will you have approved music from artists like TikTok? Yes. In fact, one of the feathers in my cap as being the CEO of a company and coming from the music business is one of the first advisors I sought out was a gentleman by the name of Bill Campbell. And Bill was the guy that actually wrote the licenses for Musically before TikTok to actually use music from the music business. So coming from the music business, the first thing I said is I write myself. So I want to make sure that I'm protecting artists and songwriters and producers. And so I sought Bill out. Bill advises us. We had a call with Bill last week about a lot of things that we're going to be doing in 2025. So yes, music will be coming to Fanbase. We had music for a while. We're bringing it back, but that is a very costly process too, because the music business wants their money. And but I understand how important music is to content creation and telling a story and enhancing the creator experience. And so I really, really want to do that. Now um there are ways right now that you can utilize music or play music on the platform. There's 3 ways that you actually consume music on social media platforms. One is live streaming. So that means like if you go on live and you DJ, you can play music. For that, to do that, we have to seek permission from performing rights organizations like BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, SOCAN, GMR. We've gotten those licenses. So if you're a DJ and you want to live stream and go on live and stream and play music, you are more than welcome to do that on Fanbase because you have the ability to do that. Secondly is UGC. UGC is user generated content where the music is added before the song is uploaded. So before the song is uploaded, you yourself use some sort of production software or, something like iMovie or something you created, and then you upload that content to Fanbase. That's one way. And for that, if the labels don't want those songs being used, they will tell you to take those songs down. The third way is music libraries. And so music libraries are partnerships and deals that we do with music publishers and record companies that makes music available to contribute to your content as you're creating it. Right. And I think that's what a lot of people love to use it for that. So that's when you see the dance challenges. It's just easy to pull a song in, do the challenge, do everything that everybody's doing. So that part is extremely important. That part is important, and we want to bring that to Fanbase. Can you lock in a deal with Netflix or Tubi to use the feature Watch Party? That is a really good. I, so I can't speak on that part. What I can say with Watch Party is when we started Watch Party on Fanbase, we chose YouTube as the first place to allow people to share video because it's free video, it's public performance video, and YouTube's content library is in the billions. Eventually, though, that content will be expanded to pin links in rooms and play content from Fanbase Plus, so our own video platform on the app. It'll also include platforms like Twitch. So if you're a streamer, it'll include Kick, it will include Rumble, it will include probably Vimeo and other video platform sites. Now, when we get into the subscription service side of things, I can't speak on our plans for including those into Watch Party, but those conversations are had, and it's nothing that I don't think is too far out of the norm or too out of the realm of making something really really cool. Um, let's see. Um, let's see. If I'm an artist and my music is the music being used in my content, will that be okay? Yeah, of course. Isaac Jones, yes, indeed, not a problem um, at all. What is the quality for audio streaming? So it depends on the medium in which you use. So um, I use something called a Rodecaster Pro, and then there's a specific cord on um, Amazon that you can buy. I'm probably gonna post it for my subscribers that want to do that, but it's a specific cord that you buy on Amazon that you plug in, and it really allows the high quality audio to go straight to your phone. And so, if people that have seen me live on Fanbase playing music often comment on the quality of the audio and the video that come through. They're like, "Man, it's like I think it's amazing." You know what I'm saying? Um, Stephen Dolphin says, "I have been having issues completing my investment with this platform." Um, so I would either email support at fanbase.app or reach out to investor support on the Start Engine page. Now, also check your junk mail because sometimes Start Engine, the completing your investment email might go to your junk mail on your mail from Start Engine. So I want to make sure that you guys have that because again, that's that are you sure phase if you're trying to complete your investment. Thank you for saying the app is looking good. No luck with support. Sil, do you see if you're in here, Sil, do you see Steven Dolphin here? Let's reach out to him and make sure that we can help complete his investment. Um, uh, Brownstone Vibes, the minimum to invest is $399. Um, Real cooking. How can I restrict my content to 17 and over? We don't do content restriction here. I mean, we're just like any of the other legacy apps that are out here. So that's X, that's Instagram, it's Facebook, TikTok. I think the minimum age you have to be is 13 to join the platform and download the platform. And so, um, you know, that's that's just how we do it. And again, I mean, young people are really the ones that usher the next wave of the coolness into the platform. I think everybody's cool, but the kids are always going to be the ones that make the platforms really, really cool. So, when you 15, 16, 17, you know more about what's going on in culture than most people because you are creating culture, you are culture. And that's important too. I know you're cool too. Tamika the introvert. She said, "I'm cool." So I think we all cool, but kids are cooler. Kids are cooler. Sorry, they just are. They know the right shoes. They know the phrases. They dictate culture. They drive things forward. That's why you don't see 15-year-olds on Facebook, and that's why my brother is not on Instagram, and he's a freshman at Morehouse. So that's important. Um, so let me see. After the raise, consider doing a media tour to help build the awareness for the app. Yeah, I typically do media. GB360. I typically do media quite a bit. I've done a lot of interviews, podcasts. I was saying today that I consider myself a subject matter expert on equity crowdfunding. I definitely don't mind lending my voice and speaking about the importance and the ability to be able to do that. um, in the era of social media specifically, we've been spending years on this product and years understanding the market, and so I consider myself that. But I'll do that. And you in major media, and I said I've been on major. I mean, I consider CNN major media. I consider, Bloomberg. I've done platforms like that. I've done Forbes and stuff like that. So I'll continue to do those things. Um, have I spoken with Jack Dorsey? He seems cool. Can help your platform grow. No, I have not. Um, oh, Isaac, who is the guy that invested in Uber and then years later was rich? That guy's name is Orrin Michaels. Um, if I could find it, let me see if I can copy and paste that into the chat. It's funny because when I talk about Uber seed investors, boy, I love to use this as a metric. It doesn't mean that all these things were perfect, but let me tell you, Uber seed investors made how much money? And that's something that's really, I think that's really cool. Hold on. Let me see if it'll allow me to paste this in here. Will it allow me to paste it? No, it's not. But hold on, I know how to do it. I can do it like this. Give me 1 second. I'll just send it through another channel. But again, these are guys that put, small amounts of capital into the platform Um, Ageless fashion. How can you invest? You can go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. It should be at the top, and people will send that. Uh, Let you see what's going on. Let me see here. Um, Here we go. I'm going to throw this link in the chat so you guys can see what the seed investors of Uber made. I just threw that in the chat. You guys look. If you look at the bottom guy, this guy named Orrin Michaels. He put $5,000 into Uber in 2010, and when the company went public in 2019, his $5,000 was worth $24 million. And this is and it says note some investors may have sold their shares. So it doesn't mean that they kept their shares after it went public, but at the time that the company went public, these are people that how much money these individuals had made at the time that the company went public based off what they invested. And what I say is important about this and these people is these people were already accredited investors. So imagine a bunch of rich people that are millionaires being able to put something as small as $5,000 into a startup and then turn that into $24 million. And there's a law that only allows them to do it because they're rich. That's the accredited investor rule. That's the part that I think is like, man, that's corny. So that's why I'm glad the Jobs Act exists so that it gives everybody an opportunity to do that. Because again, we're going to get bombarded with commercials about the lottery, and we're going to get bombarded with commercials about going to Vegas, and we're going to get bombarded with commercials about using gambling websites. But I don't ever see any of us getting bombarded with commercials about investing in seed stage companies through equity crowdfunding. And that's for a reason, because I think the guys that have made most of their wealth on being able to do this over and over again don't really like the disruptive nature of what equity crowdfunding provides. We've gone about the right time because I started late, so I wanted to go over a little bit late. So I'm going to run through exactly where you can invest in Fanbase, how much it is to invest in Fanbase, and so on and so forth. So we are currently at $7,990,000 raised. So we're $10,000 away from reaching $8 million raised for Fanbase, which would be incredible. I love to get to that by 7 o'clock tonight. In the next, I'd love for that to happen in the next 50 minutes. That we hit $8 million raised. So right now we're raising $17 million on startengine.com/fanbase. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share at a valuation of $160 million. When you invest in Fanbase, you will create an account on startengine.com. That account will be where your shares are held. So that is your investment wallet, right? That's where you can go check on your transactions and see where you've invested in Fanbase. You will sit on the cap table of Fanbase once your investment is complete. That process means you invest, a background check is done, that money sits in escrow. Once the background check is complete, you will receive a confirmation email to confirm your investment. And then once you confirm that investment and that money goes into the disbursement queue, and then we take that money and put it into our account, then you are an investor in Fanbase. And like I said, that process can take up to a few days to a couple of weeks. But I encourage everybody to do so. This is a really good market opportunity for people. I can't express enough because it's just the game is shifting. It's just a lot. And I think that users want to own the apps that they use. And I think Fanbase is one of the first startups in the social media space to provide the opportunity for the users to actually have equity. And I know we talk about owning your content and owning your data, but I think a different conversation and even a more, I think a more imaginative and fun thing to do is allow the users to actually have equity in the company as well. And I thank all the investors that have put money into this company and help us grow. We're over 1,000,000, 2,000,003 users. Also, our MAU is above 600,000 users a month. And continuing, and that's really, really good. And it's only going to continue to scale and grow from there. But we have work to do, which is why we're raising this capital. And so I welcome everybody to go to startengine.com to invest. And we will have this audio room next Tuesday at 5 p.m. And also, I want you to look out for the fan ambassadors on the platform that have rooms. A lot of times they show people how to use the app and the functionality. And then Thursday at 5, Ramiro has a room, a tech talk room, where he actually gets into the functionality side, some of the nuts and bolts of what's going on under the hood in the app and the things that we're planning to build that are on the roadmap. We're getting a lot of questions about, some of the functionalities and features, and Ramiro really dives deep into that. It's a great place if you are someone that really wants to learn about the technical side and understand the technical side of what's going on with Fanbase outside of just the business or the use of the app. Tune into Ramiro's Tech Talk at 5 p.m. Every Thursday on Fanbase. Other than that, I want to thank you all for joining the room. Continue to be vibrant and optimistic, and have fun on this app, and tell people as we continue to make it an even more fun and engaging place for all of you. And we will be back here next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining the room.
All right. All right. Another successful Tuesday Town Hall. Isaac, the founder, CEO of Fanbase. And I'm just going to close off this experience with Faction, and we're going to go out with a Suno version, Suno AI version of Come On Over to Fanbase. And it's going to go something like this. Don't just chase the praise. Forget about the likes, it's all about the heart. Join the community where your passion's the art. Come on over to Fanbase, where you can monetize the same day. Not for likes, but for love. Join the platform that you're dreaming of. You got talent, you got style, but it shine on through. Here on Fanbase, it's all about the real you. Create, inspire, and let your voice be heard. In a place where we celebrate every word. Come on over to Fanbase, where you can monetize the same day. Not for life, but for love. Join the platform that you're dreaming of. Feel the vibes, feel the groove. This is your spotlight, make your move. Connect with fans who truly care. Build your empire everywhere. Come on over to Fanbase, where you can monetize the same day. Not for life, but for love. Join the platform that you're dreaming of. Come on over to Fanbase, where you can monetize the same day. Not for likes, but for love. Join the platform that you're dreaming of. Hey, girl, let's make magic, let's create. A Fanbase where your dreams await. Not just another app, it's a movement, a place. Come on over and start your race. There you go. A remix that captures the essence of connections and community of Fanbase. You got talent, you got style, and it shine on through. Here on Fanbase, it's all about the real you. Create, inspire, and let your voice be heard. In a place where we celebrate every word. Come on over to Fanbase, where you can monetize the same day. Not for life, but for love. Join the platform that you're dreaming of. Come on over to Fanbase, where you can monetize the same day. Not for likes, but for love. Join the platform that you're dreaming of. Feel the vibes, feel the groove. This is your spotlight, make your move. Connect with fans who truly care. Build your empire everywhere. Feel the vibes, feel the groove. This is your spotlight, make your move. Connect with fans who truly care. Build your empire everywhere. Feel the vibes, feel the groove. This is your spotlight, make your move. Connect with fans who truly care. Build your empire everywhere. Hey girl, let's make magic, let's create a Fanbase where your dreams await. Not just another app, it's a movement, a place. Come on over and start your race. There you go. A remix that captures the essence of connections and creativity on Fanbase. All right. That was a 3-minute song, 3.9 to be exact. Created by Mr. Price on Fanbase. and use the Suno AI music app to create that song. Come on, you guys. Let's use AI. Let it do what it do. But thanks for listening. And as you can see on the display, onboarding BU without limits. I'm available Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and that's Central Time. You can listen from the web at fanbase.app/audio and just go to the live room section. You can also look at the next tab, which is upcoming rooms, to see the rooms that are scheduled for the next several weeks or more. But that's all I got. Again, thanks for listening. Bye for now.